All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to try to integrate a third-party API that's a little bit more complex than simply embedding Google Maps into your application. As of right now, our application looks a little something like this. Oh, it's not running. Let's run the server. Right now, our application looks a little something like this. We have a basic CRUD app. We click on the bean. It has a has just a little map up like this. This is Google Embed API. Let's say that we have like an administrator who's like a real stickler who wants to know that every single time a new location is added to the system, they want to receive a text message saying that something has been added. Maybe they want to verify. Maybe they just want to know. Today we're going to be using a third-party API called Twilio. And Twilio is essentially a web service. It's called a PaaS, a platform as a service, which basically allows you to connect with your users using SMX. You can call them. You can do a bunch of things to their phones. There are some really big companies that have been built part of their business with Twilio, so you can kind of see you get Netflix allows you to do quick password resets. You know, if you're Coca-Cola and you have machines, like this machine is broken, let me send you a text message on your phone. If you want to receive an automated text message, oh, here's your check-in time, here's your confirmation code, you've just booked an Airbnb or something like that. You can kind of see there's just a whole bunch of like different, very large enterprise companies that allow you to use Twilio to reach out.
Yeah, you always check the boxes like an email notification or SMS. Yeah.
You can contact me via SMS. Yeah. I always leave that box unchecked.
Yeah.
But there's a service that happens behind the scenes, like if you sign up for like a Macy's or something like that, I want to receive promotional offers via text. Macy's is not necessarily writing the code that does that. Twilio is the provider for that kind of stuff.
But they say sometimes they charge a fee like for the text message or something. So do they charge a fee to the user?
What's that?
They say sometimes they charge a fee if they send a text.
So they don't charge a fee to the user. You don't get charged unless you don't have text messages on your phone, right? So if you take a look at Lyft right here, it says revved up real-time communications with Twilio. Lyft cuts support costs by 100% by using customers, contact drivers directly using SMS and masked phone numbers. So it's kind of like you can text your person directly with like a masked phone number and they can send you messages and things like that. So it's like you don't get charged when your Uber driver or your Lyft driver sends you a text message unless you don't have text. But as if I'm Lyft.com or if I'm like Netflix.com and I'm sending like a blast out to a whole bunch of people saying like I have 30% off today or something like that, I get charged a certain amount of money. That certain amount of money, I'm not exactly sure what it is. We can take a look at the pricing. Let's see. Yeah, so if you wanted to call someone using a voice thing, or maybe like another usage for voice would be like, hi, I am Barack Obama and I'm running for president. Let me tell you why it's good. Like you can automate that kind of stuff and just call everyone at one certain time using the Twilio service. You want to send something like a SMS, it's less than 1 cent per text message. So if you do 100,000 people, you might be, I don't know what that is, $100, $1,000, something like that. So it's not terribly expensive, and you might get a better return on investment. So these are some of the things that are built with Twilio. You can just kind of visit at customers.twilio.com. So I've signed up for an account here, and there are a few things that we need to keep track of. So when I signed up, I used my Google Voice account so that I don't get spammed from YouTube people, and it's my like official work phone number and stuff like that. There are two pieces of information when it comes to API keys that are really, really important. First one being the account ID, like this is the identifier for who you are, and then the authenticity token of the token that allows people to know that like I am indeed a C9EB9B or something like that. So we're going to integrate this into our app so that our administrator gets texted every single time that a new location has been created. Now, there's a lot of documentation when it comes to this. Twilio documentation for Ruby. And you can kind of read through this at your leisure, but some of this is already inside of your, some of this is actually already inside of your curriculum for today. There's actually a Twilio Ruby gem, so that's where we're going to get started for today. So we're just going to add it in, gem Twilio-Ruby. I'm just re-recording data. So I'm going to add that. I'll bundle install everything. And then now the next step is I have to add all of my ID and my passwords and stuff to my secrets.yaml. So I'm going to grab a few things. I'm going to put this inside of my development. I have inside my secrets file, I have an ID, I have a token, and I have a phone number. So over here is my Twilio SID. You can find it right here on your dashboard after you sign up. There's a token which I will add off to the side, and I'll pause the recording so that people don't steal my token. And then the phone number that's associated with my account, if I'm not mistaken, is my Google Voice number. I think it is. Let's find out. Yeah, we'll just start with the Google Voice number that I have. All right, so I know that it needs a +1. Maybe it needs these extra little bits for formatting, but probably not. So this is Twilio phone. And I'm going to pause the recording real quick. I'm going to put the token in here and then close this file. And we're back. So I added the SID, the account token, and then the phone number into my secrets file. We're going to continue on. When we add a new gem, sometimes they need an initializer. So under config, there's an initializers folder. I'm going to create a new file called twilio.rb. And inside of here, I'm going to just configure it so that it works within my app. So I'm going to say that when I configure it, I'm going to read into the secrets file and use the ID as use the SID inside of there as Twilio's SID and the authentication token using the same token that we have here. So I'm going to open up this new file, and if everything works well, I can potentially run this. So I'm going to create a new object from the Twilio gem, and what I'm going to do is it's going to be from my number to another number. Let me just verify that I have the right numbers. So I think this is the sign-up number that I used. Is this the right one? We'll find out. I'm not exactly sure. Let's create this into a phone number. All right, so if all goes well, I can highlight this, put it right inside my console, and then I will get an actual text message. So run the console. Uh-oh, something blew up here. It looks like it says the from number is not a compatible number. I think I might have switched this around. So this is the Twilio number that I received, and then this is supposed to be the number I signed up with. I think it's supposed to be flipped around. So let us change it. I'm going to open up secrets real quick and then change a few things around. I'm going to pause so that people don't see the ID. All right, so I think I must have misspoke. So the from, the one that you put inside of your Twilio phone inside of secrets, the from is the Twilio generated phone number that that is generated when you sign up for the service, and then the to is your personal phone number. And for me, I'm using the Google Voice number associated with my Code Platoon email address. Now, again, these are just small little details, but it's kind of like when we're making HTTP requests, they need specific things in specific orders. So these these two are not unique to like all third-party APIs. It's just unique to Twilio in particular. So let's kind of see what happens. Hello there, this is a test. So I'm creating a new client object, I'm creating some messages from the Twilio phone number that I signed up with to the Google Voice. So I'll highlight this, run back over here, I'll exit and re-enter the console. If this works, which it does, I get some sort of response back. And if I take a look inside of my email address, because that's where everything gets sent off to, you can kind of see, here it is. New text message from the Twilio number, sent from your Twilio account. Hello there, this is a test. And that's where this comes from. So now that we've tested that this actually works, what we're going to do now is kind of get it inside of our code base. And if you can get if you see this, I mean, it was pretty simple. We only did 3 things to set this up. We set up we added the gem here, and some of the great third-party libraries like Twitter and Facebook and authorization using Google and stuff like that already have gems built in that other people have done for you. I've added this initializers with some setting up. We've added the SID and the token and the phone number, and then we were all set. And that's all we really needed to do to get just Twilio inside of this app. So with that, let's create some of the code to make this work. So my thought is whenever someone creates a location on my app, I'm going to send a text message out. Now I can put all of that code that I had a little bit earlier, like all of this, directly inside of here, and that's fine. But we learned recently about something called service objects. We don't want to do too much code inside of like the controller if we can pass it off to another class. So that's what we'll do first. All right, so I'm going to do app. Maybe I'll create a new folder called services. And I'm going to create a new file called textmessenger.rb. And then I'm going to write some TDD. So that means I have to do spec. I will create a services folder where I will have a corresponding spec file for text messenger spec.rb. And luckily for us, I'm just going to grab all of this code. Here are the first few tests that we need. So you can kind of like read through this as you need to, but essentially these are all the tests that we need to just run this particular test. So let's see, the recipient I think is a little bit different than what we had earlier. Recipient is going to be this person. And then the sender is going to be rails.application.secrets.twilio phone. All right, so let's create a class text messenger. It's not going to inherit from anything. What does it need? It probably needs a it probably just needs a message, to be honest. And I think everything else should work. So I have a new, and then I'll do a def call, and I'll shove all of this code inside of there. So I'm going to create a new client. Maybe I'll make this an adder reader for message. I'll create a new client. I'll create a new all of this. And the body will be message. Pretty simple. I just moved all of the code that we were manually calling and put it inside of its own service object class. And if all goes well, let's see if Actually, let's put it in here too. So if it saves, we will text messenger new. We will do to call. That should work. Let's see if this works. So let's run the tests. That looks like our spec. We got 3 failures. Oh, they called it send. Okay. So we'll just call this .send. We'll call this send. Okay, from nil. All right, let's not worry about the test for right now. Let's just load this up, see what we get. All right, so if all goes well, let's say I want to create a new location. We'll make this Lakeshore Park. Lakeshore. When I create this location here, if everything saves correctly, it says that the location was successfully created. It sent me nowhere. I don't know why it's so small, but let's take a look. If all goes well, I should receive a text message, and it looks like I did. It says, "Sent from your Twilio account. The location Lakeshore Drive was just added. Go vet it." So you can kind of see, like, this is an example of something we might want to use when it comes to using like third-party APIs, just to make our app a little bit more robust. And again, you can use Twilio for a whole bunch of things, including, if you're like FEMA and you want to send out a text message to everyone in the nearby area, you can send out blasts like that. Amber Alerts may or may not be used by Twilio. Like, Twilio might not be powering it, but you can use something like that as well. So you can kind of see, like, integrating your app with third-party applications is very powerful. And if you ever, like, I was creating an app personally for myself when I was teaching, it's like you had to call certain parents every single week to update them on how their children were doing. And I was like, what if we could just send a text message straight from your computer from a specific app and just say, "Kid's doing okay." Then you can save all this time instead of saying, like, "I called it this time, it rang X amount of times, and then I said this to the parent," or something like that. So yeah, just a quick and dirty demonstration of how Twilio works.
But if you send a message to the phone number that is not true, like, not valid,
what happens when I send a phone number to something that's not valid?
Yeah.
Well, this is going to be, I mean, that's Twilio specific, right? Like, I'm not an expert on all things Twilio ins and outs, but I would assume, let's just say it's just like 312-555-6677. Let's find out. I don't think it will, so let's find out. Let's create a new location. Anywhere, North Dakota. Cool. When I create this, it blows up and it says unable to create record. This number is not a valid mobile number. So this, evidently Twilio has some validations where it blows up and it lets you know. But that's Twilio specific, not third-party API specific.